Hi, 7th grade. Today is Tuesday's lesson and we're still in filling and wrapping. Today we're going to be doing lesson 1.2, which is surface area of prisms, and it starts on page 11. The Got It check today is going to be page 11, and we're going to be doing a section of the chart, which is in A. You'll see what we're doing a little bit more with that when we get to that section. So I'll show you what the chart looks like. Today, we're going to be doing 1.2, the surface area worksheet, and that will be attached to your lesson in Google Classroom. Our bell ringer today is another review of perimeter and area, page 19, number 15. Okay, let's start talking about surface area. To talk about surface area, I decided to bring a box. So remember from last year, when we do surface area is the area of all the faces. So if I look at a box or a prism, any prism that's a rectangular prism is going to have 6 faces. So as I look at the Cheez-It box, it would have a front and a back that are going to have the same area. It's going to have 2 identical sides that will have the same area. And it will also have a top and a bottom that will have the same area. So we can use kind of a combination of dimensions of those faces in order to find the surface area or the area of all the faces. Okay, let's get started. So when we talk about surface area is the area of the faces of a 3-dimensional object. So the area outside, or maybe you want to say around a 3D object. And in this case, we're going to start by talking about prisms. We'll be doing surface area of all different figures by the time we get to the end of this unit. But right now, we're just going to focus on prisms, okay? So I've actually started working on the chart. So this is example A, and this is what is on that page 11. So one of the things they asked us to do in the chart was to come up with some different dimensions for boxes that have a volume of 24. So if I think about boxes that have a volume of 24, I came up with 2 potential options here. Okay, my first box has a length of 1, a width of 1, and a height of 12. That would be a very long and skinny box. But if I multiply those together, 1 times 2 times 12, that gives me a volume of 24. And I also came up with another box, which is a 1 by 3 by 8, also long and thin, but not quite as long and thin, and that would have a volume of 24 as well. So what we're going to do today is we're going to calculate the surface area of those boxes. Okay? Remember that a rectangular prism, so I'm just going to write that down. A rectangular prism has 6 faces. So it has 6 faces, okay? And it has 3 different combinations of those faces, remember? Again, with the Cheez-Its, we said the front and the back, the side and the side, the top and the bottom. So those faces are going to be identical, okay? So when we do surface area, we're going to be adding up the area of all those faces. So let's talk about the different faces in my first row, okay? So my first face is the 1 times 2 face, okay? So I'm going to write that down. That's the 1 times 2 face. And I'm going to multiply that by 2. Why? Because there are 2 of them, right? It's like saying that's the front and the back, okay? To that, I'm going to add my next face. So if my first face was the 1 and the 2, I'm going to say my next face is the 2 times 12. So the area of that face is 2 times 12. And again, I'm going to multiply that by 2, okay? Why? Because we have some matching faces. So I'm always multiplying it by 2 when it comes to a rectangular prism because these are the matching faces, right? And maybe I'll just write that down here, the matching faces. So it helps us remember, okay? So I got the 1 and the 2 and the 12. My last face is the 1 and the 12, and this is kind of like the side. So I'm going to multiply the 1 times the 12, and again, I'm going to multiply that by 2 because remember, front and back, top and bottom, side to side, we have a matching, okay? And then I'm going to add all of this together, okay? So that's going to take a little work, all right? But let's get to adding this together. So if I look like 1 times 2, that's 4. And then I'm going to add 2 times 2 is 4, and 4 times 12 is 48. And then my final row, 1 times 12 is 12, and 12 times 2 is 24. Okay, if I add that all up, I should get 76. And surface area is an area, so it would be inches squared. And the chart we're working with is inches, so my surface area of this object would be 76 square inches. Okay? All right, it's time for our gotta check. So for our gotta check, I want you to try the box that I have done in the second row of the chart. So for our gotta check, you're going to be doing a box with a length of 1, a width of 3 inches, and a height of 24 inches. Or a height of 8 inches, excuse me, and the volume is 24. All right, go ahead and pause the video, and then we're gonna work on this one when we come back. Okay, so let's take a look at the gotta check. All right, so again, I'm going to use each of my 3 combinations of faces. So my first combination of face is 1 and 3, so I'm going to do 1 times 3, and I'm always going to multiply that by 2. Remember, this is because we have 2 faces that match. Okay, my next face is going to be the 3 times 8 face, so I'm going to multiply 3 times 8 to get the area of that face. And again, I'm going to multiply that by 2 because on my box, those faces match. My last one are the outsides, so my 1 and 8, so I'm going to multiply that together. 1 times 8, and again, multiply it all by 2. Why? Because, of course, those faces match. Okay, let's add this up and see what we end up getting. So my top row, 1 times 3 is 3, and 3 times 2, that is 6. My second row, if I look at 3 times 8, that's 24. 24 times 2 is 48. And my bottom row, 1 times 8 is 8, and 8 times 2 is 16. If I add these guys all up, I should get an area of 70. So my surface area in this case is 70 square inches. Okay, it's time for you to try out surface area. So remember, your surface area is 1.2, which is the surface area worksheet, and don't forget to try your bell ringer. All right, bye 7th grade. See you tomorrow for Wednesday's lesson.